You'll see the best and the brightest as the American League takes on the National League at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. On this date in All-Star history, 39 years ago today, Stade Park was the scene of the first All-Star game to be played at night. Bobby Doerr's homer won it for the American League. 22 years ago today, Willie Mays returned to New York for the first time since the Giants moved west and homered off Whitey Ford. And 11 years ago today, Reggie Jackson hit a towering drive into the Tiger Stadium lights in the last game won by the American League. A beautiful Canadian sunset as you look down from the Goodyear blimp hovering high above Olympic Park, the centerpiece of which is Olympic Stadium, and as we look inside, packed to the gills. More than 59,000 to look on tonight, as for the first time ever, the All-Star game is played outside the United States. Hello again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to what should be a very special evening as the All-Star game comes to Canada. They've waited for it a long time, and what Abner Doubleday hath wrought. He invented the game in the 1800s in the United States. Now it's international in flavor. It's played in more than 77 countries. It's played by more than 300 million people. And it is the national pastime of more than 20 countries. And what a marvelous sight. One of the world's most sophisticated cosmopolitan cities, Montreal, built around a mountain, Mount Royal. The city deriving its name from Mount Royal. And let's pay a quick visit to Montreal. Montreal is full of life, full of spirit, while simultaneously maintaining its ties to the past. Of the nearly 3 million people in the metropolitan area, about 2/3 are of French ancestry and speak the language. It's a bilingual city, and you don't have to let your imagination run wild to pretend you're in Paris or Lyon or Strasbourg when you wander the streets of the old section of Montreal. While rich in tradition, Montreal is also very much in tune with the present. The metro is clean, quick, efficient, and the modern-day architecture appropriately symbolizes this country's financial and commercial center. When it comes to sports, another symbol of the city has been the Montreal Canadiens. The names through the years have been legendary: Richard, Beliveau, and Geoffrion, Plante, and Dryden. And it got to the point where the Stanley Cup nearly established permanent residency here. In the summer of 1976, the new outdoor stadium was the focus of world attention for 2 weeks when the Olympic Games were held in Montreal. The Queen of England was here for the start.
I declare open the Olympic Games of 1976, celebrating the 21st Olympiad of the modern era.
Those were the Olympics of Nadia Comaneci and the American boxers, and of course Bruce Jenner, who celebrated his victory in this stadium in the decathlon in a way remembered by everyone. Baseball, too, has been an integral part of the Montreal sports scene, and this present-day park was the site of the old Delormier Stadium, home of the International League's Montreal Royals. In the 40s, they were a Brooklyn Dodger farm club, and in 46, when Branch Rickey signed Jackie Robinson, organized baseball's race barrier was finally broken. Robinson starred here that season, went on to Brooklyn the next. The city went into the major leagues in 1969, and Jarry Park, a toy-sized stadium, served as the home of the expansion Expos for 8 seasons. The Expos moved into Olympic Stadium in '77 and have had a good deal of success here. But last October, a dramatic ninth-inning homer by the Dodgers' Rick Monday kept Montreal out of the World Series for the first time ever. Disappointment that day, but exhilaration, anticipation, and excitement tonight for the All-Star game in Montreal. Another part of Montreal tradition is a very special lady, Rachel Robinson, Jackie's widow. She's here with us tonight with Howard Cosell. Howard?
Ray, it's so great to see you again, and in this marvelous city, which has such tender memories for you and for your late husband. Would you capsulize in one anecdote the warmth of your feelings for Montreal?
Yes, Howard. I will say that when we arrived in Montreal, and I, as a 23-year-old young woman, had to go look for an apartment, and approached a neighbor on DeGaspee Street, and she opened the door and she welcomed me, greeted me warmly, told me to come in, granted me the apartment without any hint of discrimination. It was my first encounter with an atmosphere where there was no discrimination, where we were totally supported warmly, and the love that we took from Montreal really sustained us in the more difficult days when we didn't have that kind of support. And so coming home to Montreal, to me, is coming back to really the birthplace of my belief in brotherhood. I really believe it can happen.
Thank you so much. You've told it all. We're proud to have you here, and that's why so proud we all are to be back at the home of the 76 Olympics.
La Ligue américaine pour la partie d'étoiles 1982, and the manager of the American League All-Stars, des Anges d'Oakland, Billy Martin. Voici maintenant, mesdames, messieurs, le rôle des frappeurs pour la Ligue américaine. And now, the starting lineup for the American League. Le premier frappeur, le voltigeur de gauche des Anges d'Oakland, le numéro 35. Leaning off and playing left field from the Oakland A's, number 35, Reggie Jackson. Le deuxième frappeur, le voltigeur de centre, représentant les Angels de la Californie, le numéro 19, batting second, the center fielder, representing California Angels, number 19, Fred Lynn. Le troisième frappeur, le troisième but des Royals de Kansas City, le numéro 5, batting third and playing third base for the Kansas City Royals, number 5, George Brett. Le quatrième frappeur, le voltigeur de droite des Angels de la Californie, le numéro 44, batting fourth, right fielder, California Angels, Reggie Jackson. Le cinquième frappeur, le premier but, représentant les Brewers de Milwaukee, le numéro 15, batting fifth and playing first base, representing Milwaukee Brewers, number 15, Cecil Cooper. Le sixième frappeur, l'arrêt court des Brewers de Milwaukee, numéro 19, batting sixth, the shortstop from the Milwaukee Brewers, number 19, Robin Yount. Le septième frappeur, le deuxième but des Angels de la Californie, le numéro 4, batting seven and playing second base, representing California Angels, number 4, Bobby Grich. Le huitième frappeur, le receveur des White Sox de Chicago, le numéro 72, batting 8, the catcher from the Chicago White Sox, number 72, Carlton Fisk. Et le lanceur de la Ligue américaine se réchauffant dans l'enclos de pratique, le numéro 43, représentant les Red Sox de Boston, and pitching for the American League, warming up in the left field bullpen, representing Boston Red Sox, number 43, Dennis Eckersley. C'est l'équipe de la Ligue américaine, mesdames, messieurs, the American All-Star Team. Mesdames, messieurs, le gérant pour la Ligue nationale pour la partie d'étoiles 1982 and the manager of the National League All-Stars, des champions de la Série mondiale, les Dodgers de Los Angeles, from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Tommy Lasorda. Et voici maintenant, mesdames, messieurs, le rôle des frappeurs pour la Ligue nationale, and now the starting lineup for the National League. Le premier frappeur, le voltigeur de gauche des Expos, batting lead-off number 30, Tim Raines. Le deuxième frappeur, le premier but de Phillies de Philadelphie, le numéro 14, batting second, first baseman, representing Philadelphia Phillies, number 14, Pete Rose. Le troisième frappeur, le voltigeur de shortstop from the Cincinnati Reds, number 13, Dave Concepcion. Le 8e frappeur, le 2e but représentant les Phillies, le numéro 9, batting 8, second baseman, representing the Philadelphia Phillies, number 9, Manny Trio. Et le lanceur pour la Ligue nationale, se réchauffant de l'encontre pratique des Expos, le numéro 45, and pitching for the National League, number 45, Steve Rogers. Présenter les capitaines honoraires pour la partie d'étoiles 1982. Ladies and gentlemen, the Montreal Expos are honored to present the honorary captains for the 1982 All-Star Game. Le capitaine honoraire de la Ligue américaine a participé à 15 matchs d'étoiles et 14 séries mondiales dans ses 19 saisons avec les Yankees de New York. Élu 3 fois le joueur par excellence, il est maintenant membre du temple de la renommée du baseball. The American League honorary captain has played in 15 All-Star games and 14 World Series in 19 seasons with the New York Yankees. A 3-time most valuable player and a member of Baseball Hall of Fame. Mesdames, Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, Yogi Berra.
One of the most remarkable figures in the history of baseball. The memories so filled with his accomplishments. Memories totally filled with his accomplishments. Remember the 7th game, 1956 World Series, Ebbets Field, bases loaded. Don Newcomb, the pitcher, grand slammer, on a day when Johnny Cucks 3-hitted the Dodgers, shut them out. Yes, just one of the many memories.
Et maintenant, le capitaine honoraire de la Ligue nationale, and now the honorary captain for the National League. Durant ses 17 saisons comme voltigeur de la Ligue nationale, il a frappé 407 coups de circuit, a participé à 7 parties d'étoiles et 6 séries mondiales, et maintenant commentateur des parties des Expos. He had 407 home runs in his 17th season as a National League outfielder, a participant in 7 All-Star games and 6 World Series, and now a broadcaster with the Montreal Expos. Mesdames, Messieurs, un membre du temple de la renommée, ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famer Duke Snider.
Edwin Snider, the Duke of Flatbush, 11 World Series home runs. This was one of them in 1955, when the Dodgers finally beat the Yankees and John Padres won the final game. The Duke had 4 home runs in 52, and in 55, 11 World Series homers in all. In the early days, they used to say the National League was a new minor league. But oh, how it's changed and how complete the domination of the senior circuit has become. The defense, Al.
Defensively, you've got Pete Rose, who has started at 5 different positions in his career in the All-Star game. Left and right, first, second, and third. Second start for him at first base. His teammate from Philadelphia, the Phillies comprising 3/4 of the infield, Manny Trio, who's from Venezuela. And his countryman, the only non-Phil in the National League infield from the Cincinnati Reds, Davey Concepcion. No stranger to All-Star games. Around at third, the man with the home run in Cleveland last year to give the National League another victory, Mike Schmidt. MVP in the NL in 80 and 81. The Expo, Tim Raines, who has seen a good deal of action at second base this season, is playing left field. He's back there now during the regular season, too. His teammate, Andre Dawson, got that tremendous ovation, is in center field. And around and right, the Atlanta Braves' great star, Dale Murphy, leading the majors in home runs. At the All-Star break, you've got Gary Carter, recognized now as baseball's premier catcher, back of the plate. And the 4th Expo in the starting lineup, Steve Rogers, having a good season, 10-4. As you can see, he has very good control. It's been that way throughout his career, only 36 walks and 143 innings plus. So Rogers gets his first All-Star game start. And he'll get underway by facing Rickey Henderson of the Oakland A's, and Fred Lynn of the California Angels, and George Brett of the Kansas City Royals. Rickey Henderson, if he stays healthy by the middle of August or thereabouts, will break Lou Brock's record, 118 steals. And he'll do it with about 40 games to play. He's on that sort of a pace right now as we get underway, and the first pitch misses for a ball, 1-0.
Well, you talked about Rogers having good control. He will have to have good control to work to Rickey Henderson because he has an excellent eye. He's already walked 81 times this year.
Henderson lining it by Dave Concepcion for a base hit. So everybody in the park knows what will happen next. Billy Martin says he's going to try to run, and if he's going to try to run, there's the man to do it. He has 84 steals in 88 games. His 84 steals have come in 107 attempts. What's happened quite often is that Henderson has been picked off and then has proceeded on to second base, been thrown out there for a caught stealing. So Henderson at first with nobody out, first inning. Fred Lynn, who's been hitting 6th or 7th for the most part for the Angels this season, batting in the second spot tonight.
Let him go. Come on.
Henderson, good sized lead, and Rogers, after throwing there once, stepping off the rubber.
Now you've got to keep an eye on him. There's no question about that. Those 84 stolen bases are not flukes in any way.
Rogers comes to the plate, and Lynn with a full rip and a miss. Freddie's been hot. He's hit 6 home runs in his last 13 games. Pierre Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, who welcomed us tonight.
Spent some time with him at lunch today, just prior to the commissioner's luncheon. Recounted old times, the '76 Olympics. Rabid sports fan.
Rogers again meeting business.
Rogers, a type of pitcher, he's really not necessarily a sinker ball pitcher. He's a pressure type pitcher as far as finger pressure is concerned with his fastball. He'll make it sail or slide.
He doesn't go, and Lynn hits it high in the air to right center field. Dawson takes command, makes the catch for the out. So Henderson not on the move yet. Lynn is gone, one away, and up comes George Brett.
Well, one of the reasons, although Billy Martin doesn't necessarily go by this theory when he has Rickey Henderson at first base, you've got the left-hand hitters up there, and you'd like to try and keep that hole for him to hit through on the right side if you possibly can. You got Henderson, the right-hander, followed by Lynn, Brett, and Jackson, and then Cooper. So you've got 4 coming behind him.
Freddie Lynn has been hot. George Brett has not. Brett, who was up well over 300, is down now at, I say down, at 301. He's hit only 195, however, during the month of July. Henderson at first base with 1 out in the top of the first inning.
Yeah, he's thinking about you.
Henderson at first. There's his mom, Bobby Henderson. Her son playing in his second All-Star game. He was a member of the team, not a starter though, in 1980. And there he goes. He gets a good jump, but Brett fouls it away. So he would have had it easily, but George was swinging, and the count is 0-1. Henderson, if he continues his pace, he would wind up with 155 steals in 162 games.
You know, I think you mentioned the key right there, if he stays healthy, and that doesn't mean where he's going to get hurt and be out of the lineup, but I can remember when Maury Wills stole the 104 bases. He was bumped and bruised all over at the end of the year. He was really hurt.
It's an amazing record because Cobb held the record at 96 for so long, and people said that'll never be broken, and then Wills did it, and they said it would never be broken, and Brock obliterated it, and Henderson is on his way to obliterating Brock's mark. 1-1 the count.
The thing about Henderson, too, when you watch him, he is not the feet first type slider. He's the head first type slider, so he can beat himself up pretty good. He's got to have some strong hands out there.
Rickey, a couple of years ago, with 100 steals. the American League mark. There he goes again, and Brett goes to left field for a base hit. Henderson tentatively around second and holds there as Ranger's throw comes into Schmidt.
But he took the wide turn looking for the throw behind him in the hope of running to third very quickly.
It's also, at this time of night, it is very tough to pick the ball up. And when Ricky got down there and he heard the contact made, he looked up and he could not pick the ball up. And he was kind of in no man's land then. And he decided, well, I'll just go here. And that's about as far as I can go.
Reggie Jackson has one All-Star Game home run, and if you saw it, you'll never forget it. 1971, Detroit off Doc Ellis, pinch hit in the third inning, and did it not make contact with the light standard, it might still be going. Mammoth shot. Reggie up with 2 on and 1 out, and it gets away from Carter, bouncing toward the dugout. Henderson, a short turn rounding third and holds there as Brett moves into second.
Take one more peek at it. Here's the pitch down in the dirt, the breaking pitch, and Carter has it, hits the side almost of the plate over there, and then kicks over on the third base side. And Carter's going to get on that ball in a hurry to keep it from rolling in the dugout.
Wild pitch. It's ruled with Henderson at third, Brett now at second. The infield plays back. The count 1 ball and no strikes on Reggie Jackson. Reggie going the other way and looping it foul.
That's one of the big things that Reggie's been doing lately. He will go the other way with you. He got out there at California, and I think Reggie would be the first one to tell you he was trying to do things that even Reggie Jackson can't do. All of a sudden, after a little slow start, he got his feet on the ground. He started just making good, solid contact, and he's got power to hit it out of any part of the ballpark.
He's been hot.
As the graphic just showed, 13 home runs in the recent days. Feeling pretty good about himself, but being very careful not to gloat. Walking a political tightrope in his mind.
Jackson, after the 2-1 pitch, goes a long way the other way, curling into the corner and going foul.
And just barely.
Right there, it gives you a little idea of the power that Reggie does have. It's 335 down both lines here. Check that, 325. It's 375 to the power alley and 404 feet to straightaway center field.
Reggie Jackson, now 36 years old. Oldest starter for the American League. The youngest, Henderson, is the runner at third, and Brett is at second. And Jackson takes just inside. Crowd moaning. 3-2.
You've got a man behind there, I think, is one of the finest umpires in all of baseball. And Doug Harvey, that pitch right there, and Harvey looking right over the shoulder of Gary Carter. That's a close pitch.
So 3-2 on Reggie, with Cooper waiting on deck, fouled away again.
Remember the toughest call of Doug Harvey's life? The meeting with National League President Chuck Feeney.
That's right, down in Houston.
Playoffs in Houston against Philadelphia. The best sustained dramatic season maybe in the history of baseball. Was it a triple play or a double play?
They ended up the double play.
3-2 to Jackson, fouled away again. Interesting note in regard to the umpires as you take a look at Reggie's mom, Clara, coming up to watch her son, who makes this an annual visit. The All-Star Game for Reggie. The umpires, for the first time this year, chosen not on a rotation basis, as had been the case, but on merit this year. Jackson hitting it to center field and deep but playable for Dawson. That'll score Henderson easily, and Brett holds it second, so the American League is on top 1-0. So a couple of singles, the wild pitch, the sacrifice fly, 2 down now. Cooper coming up. You've got 3 umpires from each league. Doug Harvey, the National League veteran, behind the plate. Marty Springstead at first base, American. McSherry of the National at second. McKean, who's from here in Montreal, at third base. Eddie Montague of the National League down the line in left, and Mike Riley of the American down the line in right.
Coming to the plate, the man who at the moment might be the hottest hitter in baseball.
Oh, the Milwaukee Brewers, they are just beating on everybody.
And it's still very much the best-kept secret in baseball. Cecil Cooper, who just does his job and does it very well year after year. Pulling it, foul.
In one of the remarkable trades of all time, the Brewers got Cecil Cooper basically in exchange for George Scott, who's now, remember George, the big burly right-handed hitter who's now playing in Mexico. I'll never forget, Commissioner Bowie Kuhn was needling Bud Selig, the Brewers owner. He said, how much cash did you have to give?
0-1 on Cooper. Cooper, by the way, is getting the start because Rod Carew has tendinitis of the right hand. Carew would have been the American League starter at first base, but instead it's Cooper, and Andre Thornton of Cleveland was named to the team in Carew's stead. It's Luke down the line in left field. Foul.
Well, when Cecil Cooper comes back, and you mention those two names, Rod Carew and Cecil Cooper, Cecil has had long conversations with Carew and talked to him about just the art of hitting. And you're going to see a little bit of Rod Carew in that stance of Cecil Cooper.
Well, since Rod has 28 different stances, there's Henry Aaron. Hammerin' Henry, the man who hit the plethora of home runs against Don Drysdale.
Did you see the winder shudder as the picture came up on the screen?
I know that face. I've seen it in my sleep.
And he still says you were the hardest pitcher for him ever to face. Isn't that something?
Well, you know, in 14 years, I never missed that darn brave lineup. And Henry was right in the middle of it. You'd say to Walt Dawson every now and then, well, you know, Skip, you know, you might want to miss something sometime. But he said, nope, you're going out there.
A look around spacious Olympic Stadium, Montreal. Ballpark opened for baseball in 1977. No balls, 2 strikes. Cooper with a new bat. Chops it by the mound. Going to be a tough play for Trio, and he does not get it. So Cooper, who has decent speed, is aboard at first as Brett moves along to third. Third hit in the inning for the American League, and up comes Coop's teammate, Robin Yount.
Well, Cecil Cooper has much better than average speed, and when those left-handers come out of that box and they can smell a base hit, they just have a little more acceleration. A good play by Trio, but Cooper just flat beats it, that's all.
So Steve Rogers struggling in the first inning. And this is the first time since 1960, when Whitey Ford did it, that a pitcher has started the All-Star game in his own home park.
The year before that, in '59, it was Don Drysdale who started in Los Angeles.
A game better forgotten from the Drysdale point of view. No matter.
I would rather remember the first one in '59 and skip the second one.
That's where they played too.
But the last man to win in his own home park was Johnny Vandermeer in '38, the year he pitched the consecutive no-hitters.
1-1 the count. There's a graphic illustrating just that. Got to go back 22 years to Whitey Ford. Rogers, one of 4 Expos in the starting lineup tonight. 1-1 on Robin Yount, who takes inside. 2-1 the count. Robin Yount having a great season, not only defensively at shortstop, average-wise, hitting .327. The power, he's homered 15 times this season, including one into the upper deck in right field in Chicago last week. 2-2 the count. So Rogers even 2-2. Yount, and it wouldn't figure for a shortstop, but he leads the American League in slugging percentage and in total bases. Ball 3.
Well, I think he's definitely right in line for the most valuable player if he continues anything that he's doing right now. He is just having a super year, as you mentioned, and it's, you could see, I can remember him when he came up at 9
in the game today. Michelle Yount, his wife, as you look at her.
There's a man who thought about becoming a pro golfer about 5 or 6 years ago. 3-2 pitch, got him swinging. So the inning is over, but the American League gets on the board. What a shot. Looking down from the Goodyear blimp, Olympic Park, Olympic Stadium. The centerpiece, a run, 3 hits, leave 2 after a half. The American League won, and the National League coming up. The American League defensively, Rod Carew would have been there, but he is not at the game. Tendinitis. Cecil Cooper is the first baseman. Bobby Grich, several great seasons at Baltimore and now with California, is the second baseman. And we saw make the last out on the top of the inning of the Brewers. There's Robin Yount, and right next to him, Kansas City's premier third baseman, George Brett. Winning in the batting again. Ricky Henderson, who got aboard, came in to score in the top of the inning of Oakland, is in left field. You've got Freddie Lynn, several great seasons with Boston, now with California, in center, and Reggie Jackson around and right. Back of the plate, number 72 of the Chicago White Sox, Carlton Fisk. And on the mound for the American League, Dennis Eckersley of the Boston Red Sox. He, like Rogers, exceptional control with just 23 walks halfway through the season. So Eckersley with 9 victories getting the start. Interesting in the selection of pitchers for the American League that they would bypass 7 pitchers with 10 or more wins this season.
Well, that's very true. And when you look at the last performance of each of the American League staff, of all their pitchers, they have a combination of a record of 0-6 and an earned run average of 10.8. But of course, that was their last time out. This is a whole new ball game, an all-star game, and you know that adrenaline's flowing out there.
Tim Raines of Montreal with great speed started the season and played his rookie season last year and left. And they wanted to get a youngster by the name of Terry Francona into the lineup every day, so they put Raines at second, and Francona got hurt, and so Tim was very happy about going out to left field again. That's where he's playing currently. Tried to lay one down. Brett in shallow at third. 1-1 the count. Tommy Lasorda, he was a great minor league star here in Montreal. He was an obscure major league pitcher, but he was big stuff here. And with Sparky Anderson on the left, Billy Martin managing the American League. An interesting story in itself because of what happened last season. 2-1 the count. Sparky perhaps positioning players in that shot. We saw Anderson motioning Sparky for many years. Of course, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and has a little better knowledge than Martin would of what National League hitters are likely to do. 3-1. Martin getting the nod because Bob Lemon had managed the Yankees into the World Series last year after Gene Michael had been fired, and then Lem was fired. So for a change, Martin replaces Lemon by virtue of the fact that Billy won the American League West last year. Raines hitting it foul. Granted. Virginia
misses Raines. Yes, indeed.
Now, one of the things about Tim, he's got 39 stolen bases this year, but he came out of spring training hurting, and he got off to a slow start as far as the stolen base department is concerned, because he can steal bases on you too. He's got excellent speed, but he's healthy now.
And Eckersley strikes him out. 1 gone in the first inning. Raines is gone, and here is Pete Rose, who plays the same way during the regular season, the All-Star game, post, you name it. In March, in Bradenton, he played the same way. Pete's numbers for the season is averaged a little bit below what it would normally be. Here's Carlton. Steve Carlton will be the next National League pitcher. Tommy Lasorda hopeful that Rogers could go 3, and then we'd see Carlton. Rose lining it to left field, the right-handed Ricky Henderson. 2 up and 2 down in the bottom of the first inning. And a big ovation upcoming as Andre Dawson makes his way to the plate.
One of the many stars of a Montreal team that seems to be supercharged with personnel, but is not producing on the ball field in the pennant race the way expected.
Andy Dawson, prior to last Monday night, he did not even swing a bat or do anything 6 days prior. He was hurt. He was not in the lineup, and they've got to have this big guy in the lineup if they're going to do anything. Now Doug Harvey pointing out it's something in calling times against Eckersley, you see, he'll drop from the side. You really have to like Denny because he comes right at you. He does not fool around. He doesn't have a lot of finesse out there. He'll just bear down and come and get you a fastball and a good curveball.
Pop to shallow right field. Here comes Reggie, and that's that. So a 1-2-3 inning for Eckersley. At the end of one, the American League leading the National League 1-0. That's the Expo mascot. His name is Yuppie, normally decked out only in orange, but black tie tonight. The All-Star game is in Montreal. Second inning. American League leading 1-0. Bottom of the order, Bobby Grich, Carlton Fisk, and Dennis Eckersley. Bobby at the age of 33, playing in his 6th All-Star game. 3rd time he started. Started at shortstop in the All-Star game back in '72 when he was with Baltimore. 2-0.
Carlton Fisk on deck. Controversy seems to follow him everywhere. More on that in a moment. White Sox, subject of a lot of print medium stuff. Steve not happy perhaps with the call on that pitch.
3-0 pitch is in for a strike. Rogers is prone. Sometimes you don't know if he's happy or what. He's prone to a lot of grimacing and facial contortions on the mound. Even when he's working on a perfect game, he goes through them. 3-2.
Highly thoughtful, intelligent man, Rogers. Absorbs information like a sponge. Witness his role in the baseball players' strike last year. Wound up knowing almost as much law as the people representing the players.
And call strike 3.
All right, back to Carlton Fisk. Carlton Fisk had something to say about the firing of Schuler, the pitching coach with the White Sox. I discussed this mess involving pitching coach Schuler and the circumstances under which he left.
Well, I don't know all the particulars in that event, but I do recognize one fact, and possibly more than that, that Ron Schuler was good for the Chicago White Sox. I think he did an excellent job with the young pitching staff that he had to work with. They weren't pitching as well as the organization had expected them to up until this point, so they used Ron Schuler as a scapegoat, and the way they handled it was particularly appalling as far as my view of it.
That's what you call an outspoken fella. Don, you're working for the White Sox these days. You agree with his evaluation of his management?
It was not handled in the best way. There's no question about that, and I think management is very sorry about the way the whole thing transpired. And by the way, just going along a little bit further on that, the White Sox today announced that they have hired Ken Silvestri, who is in their minor league system, and he will be their pitching coach right now through the rest of the year, and then I guess they will sit back and wait.
You saw Fisk fly out to center, and Eckersley bounces one toward Trio. The smooth Manny throws him out, and a 1-2-3 inning for Rogers. The American League on in order. We played 1.5 in Montreal. The American League 1, and the National League nothing. Mike Schmidt to lead things off for the National League, hitting cleanup from the Philadelphia Phillies. One of the great moments in his career came here, late 1980, a home run late in a game that turned out to be the pennant clinching game, or the division clinching game, for the Philadelphia Phillies. They went on to beat Houston in the scintillating National League Championship Series, and of course on to the World Series, and defeated Kansas City in 6. Mike Schmidt, who normally hits 4th in the Philadelphia order. It's interesting, the National League lineup, the way it is tonight, the first 5 guys are hitting in the same spots in which they normally hit. Raines leads off for Montreal. Rose normally bats 2nd for Philadelphia. Dawson normally hits 3rd for Montreal. Schmidt 4th for Philadelphia. And Gary Carter on deck, normally the 5th place hitter for the Expos. Mike has been bothered by one at bat. Now, we talked about the pitchers they've left off.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
All of those men are not on the American League All-Star team. All of them. 0-2.
You realize Vukovich of Milwaukee in his last 32 decisions has won 25 times. Only Valenzuela has won more games in that span. He's not on the team.
Well, Tommy Lasorda said he's going to sit down and write all the players that he thought should be here, just write them a letter of apology. But I think both managers stated it very well, that you can only take so many, and somebody's going to get left off, and there's always going to be some feelings hurt.
Not only leaving off the 7 biggest winners, but they've left off the top 6 fellas in terms of ERA this year. Schmidt pops it up in foul ground. Fisk flipping the mask away, makes the catch.
I love to watch Carlton Fisk play. I love to hear him explain. After he told me the management's behavior was appalling, I said, "You looking to move again? Maybe you want to go back to Boston." He said, "No, I've had enough moving, but I got to say what I think."
His opposite number, Gary Carter, leading vote getter this season. For years, they used to talk about, well, someday Carter is going to be the premier catcher. He'll be better than Bench. That day is now.
It's
of course,
amazing.
Johnny's at third.
Well, that's true. You know, it's amazing that the 2 vote getters, the 2 leading vote getters, about that in a moment. Bobby Grich throws him out, but the 2 leading vote getters were the 2 catchers. Fisk in the American League and Gary Carter overall.
And here was Gary earlier receiving the trophy, symbolizing the receiving of more votes than any other player, led in the balloting back of the plate all the way. Dale Murphy, fellow not too many people have heard about up until this season, but of course the Braves have changed that in a hurry, the way they are playing. Murphy having a great season. As you look at Yogi Berra, the honorary captain of the American League, Murphy leading the majors in home runs with 23.
Well, I think Dale would be the first one to tell you that the positioning in the lineup as far as the Atlanta Braves are concerned has really helped him. He's hitting ahead of Horner, and of course he's getting a few more pitches to hit now than what he would in the past, more so than if he was, say, hitting behind him.
3-0 the count.
And another thing there, you look at the National League home run leaders, Murphy on top, Kingman, Carter, Horner, Thompson, and Clark, and you can see Horner right there with 18, so that's a pretty good 1-2 punch they have down in Atlanta. But another big thing that helped him when they took the catcher's gear away from him.
People forget that. Started back at the plate, ball 4, so Murphy becomes the National League's first base runner. Dale at first base with 2 down in the second inning. The American League on top, 1-0. And Dave Concepcion coming up. Davey hitting .293 this year with a home run and 34 runs batted in, and one of the few bright spots in a dismal season for Cincinnati. A season that Reds fans haven't experienced, I don't know, since Doubleday was around, I suppose. It seems that long.
Well, they've lost a lot of RBIs over there.
Concepcion wrapping it foul, off to the right. 0-1 the count.
You're right about the lost RBIs, but that's a little deceptive. It was time for Cincinnati to rebuild, but they were counting on 2 of the elder statesmen, Seaver and Bench, and it's their failure to come through that's caused the dismal nature of their current record. Some of the youngsters are doing pretty well there, and Dreesen's having an excellent year.
Well, somewhere along the line, you got to draw the line. You got to say, we have to try and start rebuilding a little bit. See what we have in the minor leagues.
Interesting that on a team that's always been offensively dominated, they put 2 pitchers on the National League staff, in Mario Soto and Tom Hume. They pitch out, nothing happening. 1-1.
a sinker from the middle of the plate in and up, and there's nothing that will go farther than high sinkers. And I can attest to that.
So the National League assumes the lead, 2-1, 2 out, bases empty. Manny Trio of the Philadelphia Phillies taken outside, ball 1. Eckersley has been prone to giving up home runs this season. He's given up 15. Interestingly, Concepcion had only 1 regular season home run coming in tonight. 2-0 the count. Manny Trio, formerly with the Cubs, then on to Philadelphia. There's Concepcion, the happy one in the National League dugout.
Al, it's really nice to go to an All-Star game. It's quite an honor, number one, and it's a thrill to be there. And it's amazing how you can get in that clubhouse in the course of one day, and all of a sudden, after you're fighting each other tooth and nail at the first half of the season and again at the second half, that one day you can get together as one.
After a visit from Billy Martin, Trio fouls it away. 2-1. Trio, interestingly, this season, he's made just 1 error. The first time he touched the ball this year, opening day against the Mets, he was charged with an error. None since. Grounded to short. Robin Yount. Over to Cooper, and that's that. In the second inning, 2 runs, 1 hit, the homer by Concepcion. Nobody left on. We've played 2 at Olympic Stadium. National League 2, American League 1. Bottom of the 3rd inning, and Rupert Jones of the San Diego Padres pinch hits for Steve Rogers, who is finished under All-Star rules. Starting pitcher can work 3 innings. Rogers finished there, and Rupert Jones leads off by hitting one to deep right center field. Reggie Jackson going back, and it's off the wall, and Reggie has a long run to play the carom. Jones with good speed coming toward 3rd. They will stop him there.
Right there, look at Rupert Jones and look at Dennis Eckersley, but really Rupert Jones. Part of the story, one of the biggest stories in baseball this year. That's Dennis Eckersley's wife, obviously. She's not too happy about the trend of events. But the San Diego Padres and Rupert Jones, a former Yankee, one of so many brilliant trades engineered by the unsung Jack McKeon. The Padres within 2 games of the Atlanta Braves at the All-Star break. And who would have picked that at the start of the season? Who would have talked about Jones and Tim Lawler and all of the other players they have gotten? Before this season is over, McKeon may become one of the dominant figures in all of baseball.
Well, not only that, Dick Williams has done a great job with him. They know the style and the brand of baseball that Dick Williams expects, and he's getting it.
Tim Raines, the batter, takes a strike. Raines struck out in the 1st inning, so Jones at 3rd. The American League infield up at 1st and 3rd, and halfway at short and 2nd. Rupert, nearly an inside-the-park home run. John McNamara, the 3rd base coach and the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, all the way down near home plate before he finally put up his hands.
Johnny McNamara might be one of the better 3rd base coaches in the game of baseball, because he's been out there quite a while before he became a manager, and he's excellent. Really, on that ball out there, Reggie at the last moment looked at Freddie Lynn cutting across, and then it short hopped the wall and kicked back by him.
2-1 the count on Tim Raines. Steve Rogers, by the way, the scoring rule that the starting pitcher has to go 5 to get a win is obviously waived in an All-Star game, so if the Nationals are never headed, Rogers would get the W. 3-1 the count. National League leading 2-1 on the strength of a home run by Dave Concepcion. Jones at 3rd and nobody out. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 3-1 on Raines. To the left, full count. Two hits for the Nationals tonight, the homer by Concepcion and the triple here by Jones.
Well, you can can see on that last shot where Robin Yount and Bobby Grich are playing. Of course, you can play back a little bit further on the artificial surface. That ball's going to get to you much quicker.
And it's outside for ball 4. Second walk given up by Eckersley. Runners at first and third with nobody out. And Pete Rose, who fly to left in the first inning, coming up.
Remember, coming into this game, Eckersley had only walked 23 on the season. Al emphasized his great control. But now, the All-Star game and the National League seeking to assume early command.
Infield looking for a double play. They'd give up a run if they're able to turn it. Raines threat to go at first base.
Eckersley's got a better than average move over there, and the thing I think that makes Dennis's move valuable to him is he can throw from any position.
Raines not going, and the pitch misses. 1-0. Raines at first base. There's Jones at third. And Tim with 39 steals. Lonnie Smith is the leader of St. Louis, 41. Omar Moreno of Pittsburgh and Raines are next at 39. But of course, they all pale in comparison to Henderson with 84.
You fans can see the seams in the artificial carpet. Another matter of some controversy prior to this game.
There goes Raines, a huge jump and no throw. Just doing the wise thing, holding on. He had not a prayer.
Now that is the only problem that Dennis Eckersley will have, is he has that high leg kick, and boy, that is just inviting all kinds of trouble. And when you get a man at first base who can run a little bit and you have that high leg kick, there you see Raines, Eckersley starting. They have no chance whatsoever.
Dennis has another problem, getting the hitters out.
After he'd started the game by retiring the first 5 in a row. 1-1 the count. Rose taking outside for ball 2. 2-1.
Those artificial seams which you just saw laid before you and the more panoramic shot. Explain their problem here, Don.
Well, it's, first of all, it's a very hard field, number one.
Rose lifting it in the air to right center field. Should be deep enough to score. Jones as Jackson makes the catch. Reggie throwing on in. And Rupert coming to the plate and makes it safely. Jackson with a good throw in from right center.
Took the speed of Rupert Jones to beat the tag because Reggie made one whale of a throw.
He really did.
He did. A happy National League dugout. Rose gets it deep enough. Jackson laying back well. Now watch Reggie get into position. Here he comes now making the catch. And his throw is right there to Carlton Fisk, who had to go out to meet it so he would not be short-hopped. And Rupert Jones, as he comes around to the other side of the batter's box, you can see him coming around and Fisk going out to make the catch of the ball in the air. But then the tag is too late. Doug Harvey right there in good position to make the call.
I haven't seen Reggie make a throw like that in years.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Years.
Been a long time. Been a long time.
Reggie's always had a good arm. He's always had a good arm. That's very true. It's just a question of trying to get, not having to be so erratic at times.
Andre Dawson at the plate and a throw back to second.
Now, I'll tell you what Bobby Grich will do is he talks with the second base umpire, John McSherry. If he sees a man coming back head first, that he will just use that as a gauge because he'll put the pickoff play on again, and then when the pickoff play is made, he goes down to that right knee, and they cannot get back in there. He's a tough competitor out there. Boy, he'll put his nose right in the dirt with you.
Dawson standing in. National League leading 3-1. 1 out in the third. Raines at second. Out away. 0-1 the count. Concepcion with a man on in the second, and a triple by Jones and a sacrifice fly by Rose here in the third. 3-1 National League. 0-2.
Eckersley ought to be in as good a shape to start this game as anybody. He pitched last Friday, went 9 innings. He lost that ball game by a score of 4-1. As a matter of fact, all 4 of the starters on the American League club lost their last outing. Eckersley and Bannister pitched Friday, Guidry Saturday, and Clancy on Sunday.
Dennis to the plate 0-2, and a check swing foul over by the commissioner's box. Bowie just sort of waving a hand at that one as it went by. Sort of like Howard in the booth, Don.
Howard's safe here because we're too far from home plate. He doesn't have to worry about the foul balls here.
And Butch Hobson's not up.
Yeah, right. At Fenway. There's another little check swing bouncer down to Gretsch at second base. They get him at first for the out, and on the plate Tim Raines advances 90 feet. Raines now at third with 2 gone in the third inning. And up comes Ray Knight, hitting for the first time. Schmidt coming out of the game after he went 0 for 1. Fisk and Eckersley will get together.
What a year he's having.
Solid player.
You hit the way he's hitting in the Astrodome, you're hitting.
That's right. You can always throw out the home run stats for the Astros. You're not going to hit very many down there. Knight, third in the league in hitting. Raines at third. Great speed. 2 down. 0-1. This place would erupt if Tim decides to steal home.
Well, Dennis Eckersley knows about the speed of Raines. You see, he's not pitching from a windup. He's going to continue to work out of that stretch, so that'll make it a little bit tougher. And, of course, Brett has to play back at third, and you've got Young having to play a little deeper at short, so that whole left side is back.
Knight popping it up. Bobby Gretsch getting underneath it, and that's that in the third inning. But the leadoff triple by Jones pays a dividend. A run, a hit, leave 1 into 3. It's 3-1 National League. Okay, a couple of changes now for the National League. Dusty Baker of the Los Angeles Dodgers replaces Tim Raines in left field, and the new pitcher is Steve Carlton of the Philadelphia Phillies. And for those of you scoring, Baker will bat 9th, and with Raines coming out, Carlton will bat in the leadoff spot for the National League. So lefty, as he's known in Philly, coming on here in the 4th inning after Rogers had limited the American League to 1 run through 3. Cecil Cooper at the plate. Base hit in the first inning. 1-0 the count. Even now at 1-1, Cooper to be followed by Yount and Gretsch.
Well, you think of the start that Steve Carlton had this year and what his record is right now. He's really been pitching some good baseball. His record as of today, 11-7.
He was 0-4 earlier this year. 1-2 the count. To Cooper. Breaking ball. Carter ready to whip it around, but Harvey says no, sir.
Coop was a little worried about it. Looked back, checked the call.
Fouled away.
Carlton always possessed a great fastball. He's had a good curveball. He's worked hard with a slider. Right now, he'll throw the fastball, but not as much, I don't believe, as he used to. He's really a good pitcher right now. He just mixes in all 3.
And it stays at 2-2.
He's up against a left-handed hitter who gives nothing, whether he strikes out or not on this occasion, gives nothing to left-handed pitchers. He'll battle you, he'll foul it off, make a mistake to him, he'll belch you.
And down he goes on a good breaking ball. All right, Rupert Jones is downstairs with Bob Uecker. Uke?
All right, Al, thank you very much. And Roop, a triple, I thought you had a home bagger. I thought you hit for the distance. One of your biggest thrills or not?
Yeah, that's one of my biggest thrills. You know, I played in 2 All-Star games now, and I had 2 at-bats, and I got a triple this time, so it really feels good. I told Tom Minnesota I hit a double, but I hit a triple.
Back to you, Al.
All right, you. So the man making the trip. Well, he made it in from New York, actually. That's where San Diego closed All-Star competition. Comes up once, does his job. Take the rest of the night off. 1-0 the count on Robin Yount. Check swing, came around. 1-1. Yount struck out in the first inning. Grounded foul. Of course, Milwaukee just starting to come into prominence last couple of years. It's one of the smaller major league markets, and Howard was talking about Cooper. I agree with you. I think Cooper is probably as good an all-around player as there is going today, and a fellow like Yount, and yet not that well known yet. Fouled away.
Well, we just had Al Rosen on with his 2 home runs. As you look at Angular, David Winfield of the Yankees, his 2 home runs in the '54 All-Star game. He and Bud Selig, the Brewer owner, were with me today, and another ball. And they were both saying, why don't we have a split season this year? Milwaukee's in first place by 2 percentage points over Boston. And, of course, Rosen would like Houston to start the season over. You just saw Raleigh fingers, of course.
Key man out of the Brewer pen. 3-2 the count. Bobby Grich will be next. And Robin Yount is on. First walk issued to an American leaguer tonight. Bobby Grich coming up.
Don has talked to you about Bobby Grich, whom he knows so very well from when Don was the voice of the California Angels. And you talked about what a digger he is, what hustle, what a competitor. One of the great things about this kid is his power to the opposite field.
Oh, he's got a lot of power to the opposite field. You get a fastball up over the plate, he'll just ride it right out of here.
1-0 the count on Grich.
We were talking earlier, Howard, about the seams, and of course I talked about the very hard surface here in Montreal. Also, the seams create a problem because it'll make that ball move a little bit on those infielders and outfielders, but it happens to hit that seam in the right spot. And usually on an artificial surface you always get a very true hop, but not when there's a seam involved.
1-1. This field was in such dastardly shape earlier this season that when the Expos went on the road, I believe they spent something like $100,000 to do some patching and repairing.
That's true, because the seams here are splitting, which was the essential point I wanted to get to. But they're not going to change it till after the season.
Carlton has one get away in the count. 2-1.
There's the man with the big kick. Juan Marichal performed brilliantly last night at the Place des Arts here. He was one of a sextet of major leaguers who did the cha-cha.
2-2.
Manny Sanguin, Brawl Bobby Thompson, Juan Marichal, Minnie Minosa, Claude Raymond, and Orlando Cepeda.
Full count. Carter looking Yount back to the bag at first, so 3-2 with 1 down.
Well, I'll tell you, Marichal sent a lot of National League hitters back to the bench with a cha-cha, too.
I told him earlier, I told him earlier, I'm looking for Roseboro.
That's all over.
That's what he said. That's a great story from baseball that Don Drysdale was an unwitting witness to.
Well, I'll tell you how that happened, and it was where they got in a little battle at home plate, and of course Juan Marichal. I was on my way to New York, Howard, because I was going to open up the next day against the Mets, and I had a nice little flight, watched a movie, and I got to New York, and I saw the bad incident where he'd hit him over the head, and there were some writers out there, must have found out that I was on the plane. And they asked me, as Bobby Grich draws the walk, they asked me, what'd you think about the fight? And I said, fight? You know, they said, yeah, the fight. I said, well, I don't know. It must have been back in the coach section because I said, I was up in first class. I never saw a fight.
Well, here's Carlton Fisk, first and second, one out. The classic shot of Carlton Fisk coming up right here. Game 6, 1975 World Series. Score tied in extra innings. To left field. Is it fair? Is it fair? It is.
One of the most remembered scenes in baseball history.
Oh, incredible. Classic game. Bernie Carvo with a 3-run homer to tie it. So they went to 7 and the Reds won it the next night.
Keith and I had Carlton this year on a Monday night in Comiskey Park when he hit 2 home runs. They came from way behind through Carlton and beat Oakland that night.
1-1 on Fisk.
Controversy in his, Billy. In the New York papers today about Carlton, he said, we play this game for fun. I believe his remarks were taken out of context as the article sought to connote that he didn't care about winning.
Well, that's completely wrong if you know Carlton Fisk.
Exactly
right
the point. That's the point.
Fisk at the plate, 2-1. American League trailing 3-1 in the 4th inning. They have Yount at second, Grich at first, 1 away. Now we're even, 2-2. In the National League bullpen, it's Tom Hume throwing. Of course, Tommy Lasorda hopeful that Carlton can give him 3, but Steve a little shaky right now, and so he gets Hume up. 2-2 pitch upcoming. Got it. So 2 down, both on strikeouts. And this program being brought to you is an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Back in Montreal, Andre Thornton coming up for the American League. They trail 3-1. Tying run at first base, 2 down, 4th inning. Thornton, a late addition when Carew took himself out of the game. That opened up spot 28, and Andre filled it. He should have been there otherwise.
He should have been there in the first place. One of the great human interest stories in the whole history of baseball. His stats, which you just saw graphically, speak for themselves. Man who in a tragic automobile accident on an icy road lost his wife and daughter. A man who, with great faith, deeply religious man, came back from that. Then 2 knee operations. And then a broken hand on the first pitch of spring training. Still another season lost. And everybody wrote him off. And look what he's done this year. Only one man with more ribbies in his league, that's Hal McRae.
And only one man's hit more home runs, that's Gorman Thomas. Grounded to third, it's a foul ball. Foul ball is the call.
Very close.
Ray Knight trying to coax it fair, make it look like he's able to make the play on the bag.
Well, Ray was trying to block that third base umpire if he could, but that call is for the home plate umpire, and Doug Harvey right there. And he said, no, you don't, Raymond. No.
Let's look at it.
Both umpires called it foul, but Don's right. It's the home plate umpire's call until the ball gets to third base.
There you take another look at it, and indeed it was the correct call.
Yes, it was. But he play-acted it well. Trotted right on in.
Count now, 1 ball, 2 strikes with 2 out in the 4th inning. Even now, 2-2. Carlton's 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, and so Steve walks 2 but strikes out 3. And at the end of 3.5, still National League 3, American League 1. Gary Carter earlier, we saw Sam Shell of Gillette, the company that conducted the All-Star balloting, giving Gary his trophy. Top vote getter. Think back last year, Cleveland, right after the strike was over. They started with the All-Star game, and off Ken Forsch of the Angels, he hit this one. in the 5th inning. And then he duplicated the feat with Ron Davis, then of the Yankees, on the mound. 2 home runs last year at Municipal Stadium, and the All-Star Game MVP, Gary Carter of the Expos. The Winfield Foundation in evidence here in Montreal. Dave buying some seats. Willie Wilson comes into the game now in center field out of Kansas City. Bill hits second. Freddie Lynn is out of the game. And Jim Clancy of the Toronto Blue Jays. 500 pitcher this season, 3.56 ERA. On to work. So Gary Carter to lead off. Murphy and Concepcion to follow. 3-1 National League, bottom of the 4th inning. 1-0. Carter grounded out in the 2nd. 2-0 the count. Duke Snyder, the honorary captain for the National League, gets to coach 1 inning at first base. There he is on the lines. My boyhood idol. Love that man.
His wife Beverly's in town with him.
Grounded to short. Yaup to Cooper. 1 away. Downstairs, let's check in with Bob Uecker and Steve Rogers.
All right, Al, thank you very much. And Steve Rogers, a good performance tonight. You left with the lead. What about the Expos this year, Steve?
Well, I tell you what, we've been a little inconsistent the first half, but we know we've got a heck of a lot more talent than the way we've played.
And what about this is an ice pack, folks?
Well, I tell you what, this is believed in and has had results by the Montreal Expos, and so we ice down after every time we throw.
Steve, nice going tonight. Al, back to you.
All right, Yoke. Dale Murphy is the batter for the National League with 1 out. Bases empty in the bottom of the 4th inning. Murphy walked, and he was aboard when Concepcion homered in the 2nd.
Sit there early and watch batting practice. Boy, they put on quite a show. This young man right here can put on a show for you.
As a matter of fact, yesterday they took batting practice on an off day for all the clubs, of course, during the All-Star break. 28,000 people showed up.
That's right. They had an open workout for both clubs, and they had a good crowd here.
2-2. That should become traditional, no matter where the All-Star game is held. Floyd Bannister of Seattle. What a marvelous year for the Mariners thus far, loosening up for the American League. Crazy races right now. National League West looks like it's upside down. Seattle's in the thick of things in the American West. Foul back. Nancy Murphy and the younger Murphys enjoying the All-Star game in Montreal. Their man leading the majors in home runs. To right field and deep but playable. Jackson is back. Reggie has it. 2 gone here in the 4th inning.
You know, Al, you're talking about those pennant races, and the way it looks right now, the way things have gone through the first half, it's liable to stay that way right down to the final week of the season. You're going to have some good pennant races.
Well, people are starting to become believers in the teams they thought would fold.
That's right.
Atlanta, San Diego.
You know, Atlanta has always finished strong. And now all of a sudden they have a super spring and they get off to a good start. And if they can think positive the way that they finished in the last few years, they can be tough.
Dave Concepcion grounds it sharply. It handcuffs Cooper, but he stays with it. And a quick inning for Clancy. 1, 2, 3. We'll go to the 5th at Olympic Stadium. It's the Nationals 3 and the Americans 1. Olympic Stadium glowing in the warm Montreal night. 59,000 and change looking on here. The All-Star game, the 53rd. So far, the folks are happy. Their club leads, Nationals 3, Americans 1. 5th inning, Ricky Henderson of Oakland takes a strike from Steve Carlton. Willie Wilson is on deck, and then we'll see George Brett. Henderson scoring the American League run in the first. 1 for 2 on the night.
Yeah, Billy said he was going to run them wild. I don't know how. This is the only runner he really has on the team. Cooper has pretty good speed going to first, as he proved on his infield hit.
Man coming up next can run too, though he's been hurt part of the season. Willie Wilson.
Yeah, he's in there now, so he has the speed.
1 ball, 2 strikes on the crouching Henderson, who hits it into right field for a base hit. So now we'll see if they go to work on the bases. Ricky 2 for 3 with a base hit. Sparky Anderson coaching first base, and up comes Willie Wilson.
Well, the first thing that Sparky's got to be telling Ricky Henderson at first base that, hey, be alive on this big guy, because he's got a good move.
You could almost read his lips, exactly what he's saying. Ricky, I know you know the American League, but this guy has something special right now.
That's right.
Gave him his B+ move there. The count.
You think they don't have a little part of a relay team going right now? Henderson at first and Wilson at the plate.
Want to know the count. In the bullpen now, that's Mario Soto. 8-5 for the Reds this season. Tries to punt his way aboard and fouls it away. Carlton with an exceptional move. That time, Steve had Henderson going back to first base.
Exactly.
That's the big thing that you have to put in the minds of those runners over there. If you do have a good move, you've got to make them aware of it. You've got to go over that way every now and then. You give them your C move, your B move, then an A move, and then you might have a chance of picking somebody off. But you're also going to have a chance. Watch him start coming back to the bag. See him start to feint back. And now here comes Carlton to the plate.
1 ball, 1 strike on the switch hitting Wilson. Carlton almost in slow motion that time, what he's prone to do.
Well, that's the way a left-hander, you can come up with a good move that way. If you can have the body balance and you have the right kind of mechanics and you can balance on that left leg, you can hold those runners right there, because you don't have to commit yourself coming to the plate. The only time you have to do that is when that right foot comes back behind the rubber. Then you've got to go home.
Comebacker. Carlton to Concepcion and back to Rose. They turn a double play. So you've got Henderson at first and Wilson at the plate, and you still get 2.
Well, that little man at shortstop turned it over well, and he got a great throw from Carlton. Carlton just kind of took his time for a moment. Watch the ball hit back to him. He's got it now. He looks down, taking a little time, gets a good grip. Look at the throw right there to Concepcion, right where you want it, and they double up Wilson with ease.
And they had Willie running from the right side.
Right.
Which makes a big difference. Buddy Bell.
Buddy Bell hitting for Brett here. Brett was 2 for 2 while he was in. Half swing and a miss. 0-1.
Oh, there's a great camera. There's a... Now you can sit back and enjoy that shot right there and just watch the way Carlton works.
1-1 the count. Alan Roth working with us in the booth tonight. Watched All-Star games for years. Buddy's dad, Gus, former member of the Cincinnati Reds. Great player in his own right, as it's hit foul, just out of play. 1-2. Saw Gus in the lobby yesterday. Follows Buddy around.
He looks the same, doesn't he? He really does. He looks in great shape.
There was a year when Gus, Wally Post, and every member of the Cincinnati Reds was voted on to the All-Star team.
That's when they took the balloting away from the fans for a while. 2-2 the count.
In the meantime, in the 4th inning, Carlton had some apparent trouble, walking 2 in a row after striking out Cooper. Then he found a sinker, worked it beautifully, and fanned Fisk and Thornton consecutively.
Watch that curve right, that slider. There's the slider in there. Then he'll come over with the curveball, take just a little bit off, move the fastball outside, move the fastball in, back
of the way. We're halfway through, middle of the fifth. National League 3, American League 1.
Dave Winfield will lead off for the American League. Dave is a complete athlete on the baseball diamond. He made 2 of the great defensive plays that you will ever see in your life a year ago. Watch him hook his leg and go right up the wall, leaving a hole in the wall, but he comes down with the ball. Marvelous athlete, and particularly for his size. And he'll be looking at some heat right now from the Cincinnati Reds, Mario Soto, an outstanding earned run average with a record of 8-5. Soto will be hitting in the number 1 spot if he comes to the plate, and Oliver will be batting in the number 2 spot. Al Oliver, who is also having a marvelous year, and he is now playing first base for the National League. Mario Soto delivers strike ball. There's Big Al Oliver. He said yesterday that I feel like I've been reborn. Steve Sachs is obviously in at second base, but Oliver is just delighted with the way his life has turned for him. And of course, when you're batting 300 plus and the home folks appreciate it, it makes life a little softer, doesn't it?
Well, I think he's one of the finer hitters in all the game of baseball.
Sure, he's done it in both leagues. If any man can talk about the domination of the National League in All-Star games, it's Oliver. He's been there for both.
A 2-strike count. Winfield shoots it up the middle. Base hit for Big David. The American League pecking away at the National League pitchers, but the long ball has been the primary difference in the ball game to this point. And now here comes Eddie Murray of the Baltimore Orioles. And you deal in superlatives when you talk about Eddie Murray.
Well, they were talking about maybe Cooper not getting all the acclaim that he should be, being in a small market as Milwaukee. Here's another man who you talk to American League pitchers and mention Eddie Murray, and they will shudder a little bit too.
Well, in the beginning, they knew how to pitch to him. He was just a fastball hitter, but he's not that anymore. He's a complete hitter now.
And being a switch hitter, the thing that makes Murray so valuable, he's got such good power from both sides.
1-strike pitch is Winfield. Edges off first. And Soto comes out and gets ahead immediately on both hitters.
He's not going to finesse you either. He's going to come at you hard, and you may as well be ready.
He was a bit bullish in his all-star selection the day after they picked him. He said, I want to inform manager Lasorda that only Steve Carlton maybe should start in front of me. Well, he is the third man. Count remains strike 2. I guess the combination of Murray and Singleton as switch hitters in the middle of the Baltimore lineup is as good as it's ever played as far as switch hitters are concerned. They are just dynamite. And Baltimore is now back in the hunt in the American League East. Soto comes inside with a pitch. However, there is no Baltimore pitcher here this year, and that doesn't happen very often.
Well, no, we saw Scott McGregor's name on that list that has been excluded. He's having a good year, but don't count the birds out, I'll guarantee you that. Mr. Weaver will find some way to get him there.
That ball is hit in the air to the right side and playable. Drifting into the corner and waiting is Murphy. And Dale makes the catch. Winfield bluffs and holds at first base. 1 out.
The thing that makes them so dynamic, those two you were talking about, Singleton and Murray, is that they both are switch hitters, as you mentioned, but they're both good power hitters. There's been a lot of clubs that have had the switch hitters on there, but not with the power that those two possess.
It's not popularly recognized what a patient manager Earl Weaver is. Early in the year, his patience was driving owner Edward Bennett Williams crazy because Williams wanted Singleton, who was slumping terribly, taken out.
Robin Yount, who is the only shortstop on the American League roster, though Toby Herrera has played there some in previous years, swinging and missing. And Carl Yastrzemski has moved to the on-deck circle.
Earl stayed with Singleton, net. Singleton is hitting the way he can, and he and Murray are what Keith has described. Tremendous switch-hitting combination.
Pitch
Pitches inside to Yount. There's Yaz. What a fine man.
And what a job Ralph Houck has done with the Red Sox.
We'll see them Friday night.
That's
here on
correct.
ABC.
Ralph's up in Vermont with his wife Betty, taking 3 days off. They let the whole Red Sox team have a 3-day vacation. They'd been in a relatively mild slump, and they thought that rest would help the whole team.
Soto chases Winfield back. String, bit the corner. Got a strike call to make it 1-2. Well, what usually happens in an all-star game when you do have the caliber of pitchers that you can get on a staff, I don't think you're going to really see too many blowouts. Bat goes sailing as Yount swings and fouls it away. And it basically goes back to the old cliche in the game of baseball where good pitching will stop good hitting, and that's what you have in the All-Star game.
Difference in this game thus far, the long ball. The homer by Concepcion, the triple by Rupert Jones. The National League with only 3 hits.
Yount alive at 1-2. Fouls it back. Robin, who had barely begun to shave when he left the San Fernando Valley to sign his professional contract. This man was already a star. Carl Yastrzemski long since a star. The oldest players ever to participate in the All-Star game, only Satchel is ahead of Yaz. Of course, we lost Satchel Paige not too long ago. Winfield coming back to first base. The National getting 2 runs in the second, 1 in the third. The American jumped on top, getting 1 run in the first inning. But the lead was short-lived. Soto's heat, drilled at third, go to second, got 1, back to first, and the ball goes sailing away as Winfield gave Steve Sachs a bit of a lesson at second base. There's been so much talk about the National League playing hardball, hardball, hardball. I think Winfield read the story. Well, of course, Dave started in the National League with the Padres. He knows how that game is played. But here, the throw a little late, you see Winfield coming in and Sachs up over the top. That throw going down the dugout, and Yount goes to second base, and Sachs will draw the air. That will be the first error of the ball game, and the hand in the background, and a standing ovation for Carl Yastrzemski. All-Star games. You don't just get to that many All-Star games by compiling numbers. There has to be more to it. Of course, there is so much more to him. You look at that helmet that Yaz is wearing, and that ear flap, that hole is a little bit bigger than usual because on the regular helmet that hole is very small, the one that is exposed to the pitcher. Yaz uses one, and he has it cut bigger because he can't hear. That's foul ball. The 3 daughters of the Yastrzemski family. Son, quite a baseball player, down in Florida, Florida State. The way Yaz is going, they might be teammates one day.
That's right.
Soto blows him down. So Yastrzemski strikes out. The American League gets a man to second base, can't do anything with it. The score remains National 3, American 1.
Pete Rose, a very unforgettable moment took place in All-Star Game history back in 1970 in Cincinnati. And as we run it up here, I wonder if you'd talk about it and describe it.
Well, I'm running third. Hickman got to hit the center, and I start to slide head first right there, but I saw I couldn't be safe because Fosse was blocking the plate, and it was my advantage because he was reaching for the ball, and I happened to hit him at the right time, and I scored the winning run in an extra inning ball game. And I missed 3 games, but unfortunately he separated his shoulder and played the next month with that, and it sort of ruined his career. But I think you have to try to do anything. I think that was a clean slide because of the way he was positioned at the plate. You're no catcher, you know what I mean. And I didn't try to hurt anybody because he was at my house till 3 in the morning the night before, and I was just trying to be safe playing in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Pete. Back up to you.
Now that is a bird's eye view. Take a look. I hope they got a rope around the ankle.
It's a little scary. We never had that at the Olympics.
Well, from way up there, that tiny little figure down at the plate looks tiny to them, but it's Al Oliver, and he is a big man in Montreal. And on the mound, Quisenberry now. From Kansas City, the Royals submarining right-hander, and that's chopped down the line. It's going to go toward the corner. Al Oliver turns, and he's going to second. The ball gets loose. He's turning second base and going to third. And he's there standing. Did the seam play a role there? I don't know. The ball took a funny squirt. Well, look at it again. There's just a high Baltimore chop right there over the head of Buddy Bell. Now watch that little hop. You see Henderson get over. He just absolutely ran by the ball. They're coming off of the ground in front of home plate, over the head of Bell, down the line, and the speed of Ricky Henderson took him by the ball. He never even got a glove on it. So that is the second triple in the ball game for the National Leaguers, and Andre Dawson now with an opportunity to increase the National League lead. Nobody out, and Oliver at third. And the pitch is low inside. Dan Quisenberry is on the mound. That's his record on the year. And another Royal has been inserted into the lineup. Frank White is playing at second base, relieving Bobby Grich of the California Angels. And Dawson almost stepped right into that pitch. You look at some hitters, and when they try and gauge Quisenberry, you try and pick up a spot on a pitcher to where you can find the ball. As you look at Oliver at third, a lot of hitters will go right to his knee because that's where that ball is really, looks like it's coming out of. That's it on the ground to the right side. That's going to hold the runner at third as Eddie Murray makes the play. So 1 out, and Oliver is still at the turn. Jim Fanning of Montreal coaching at first, and John McNamara of Cincinnati at third.
If the American League is to do anything at all in this game, they've got to reverse a remarkable trend against them in the late innings of prior All-Star games. From the 7th inning through the 9th in the recent years, they have been almost totally inept. And now they're going to have to come from behind once again, as you just looked at Frank White, the new second baseman of Kansas City.
Oh, Georgia boy up there, Ray Knight. And here's a guy I think's a battler. He's another one who'll get down and scuffle with you.
Yes, he will. And, you know, he's really kind of a little bit out of position right now as far as his 1982 season is going, because he's been over at third base a lot. I mean, at first base for Houston.
That's a foul ball in the photographer's corner past the dugout.
It's the Astros with Art Howe at third and Ray Knight at first.
Gary Carter is the on-deck man. Knight late with it. Ray Knight strikes out.
Well, that goes back to a statement that I can think of the California Angel manager Gene Mock making to me. He says one thing that he likes about Quisenberry, and you've got to respect him for it, he can close you down in the late innings. He knows how to pitch, especially the 9th. He can shut the door on you.
The Expos catcher, Gary Carter. of State designate George Shultz testified today before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on the first day of his confirmation hearing. Nightline tonight focuses on Shultz's views of American foreign policy interest and on the influence of the multinational corporations on foreign policy making. Nightline immediately following your local news tonight. Didn't catch it. Oliver scores from third, and it's a 4-1 ball game. Willie Wilson did not get a good jump on the ball at all.
He certainly didn't, and it's still another evidence of the National League doing what they have to do when they have to do it. Big, big insurance run.
Great effort right here by Wilson, and boy, it's hard diving on that artificial surface. Carter comes out now, and Tony Pena goes in to run for him. From Pittsburgh. Boy, is he a dandy. National now with 5 base hits. Don't ever think catchers can't run either with Mr. Pena. This guy can haul it.
I didn't like the way the Pirates have come.
Charging. That's foul ball. Big figure in their resurgence.
Pena, Dale Berra.
Dale Berra, absolutely.
The return of Dave Parker, who had 2 home runs in 1 game just a few games back.
Pitching by Don Robinson.
Oh, yes.
It's really been something.
Oh, I could see that happening the first week of February at Bradenton. His arm clearly was right.
Murphy swings and misses. Quisenberry, of course, like Kent Tekulve, brings the ball underneath. Tekulve, in explaining the physiology of it, says it's the least demanding pitching motion because the muscles continue to rest on the bone structure. You don't relieve them off. The runner going, Pena in there, safe. Well, that's just what I was talking about. Don't ever think that catchers can't run, because this young man can take off and steal any base for you. He just comes out from underneath his cap, and you've got that gun of Parrish behind the plate. He didn't get a clean throw away. It was a little bit to the inside, and White had to come back, and he had to come around. Billy Martin's going to go out and talk with McSherry. There you can take another peek at it. Whether Billy thinks he got him before he got to the bag, that's close call right there. But I believe McSherry could have been blocked out a little bit with the body of Pena. Well, McSherry had but he was coming from looking at it from the same angle that Martin was.
Martin's had a lot of that kind of action this year. Nothing but frustration. Watch closely. I don't know. Close call.
So Pena is off second base, and Quisenberry breaks it off outside to Dale Murphy.
Maybe he can get a little life into this American League bunch by that kind of...
Probably what he is.
Yeah, that's all.
Here's another big kid that's fun to watch in the batting cage. Yes, sir. What does a ball jump when he hits it? That's a sharp shot to the third baseman, Bell. Bell scoops it and throws it and gets him just barely. So the Nationals add their lead to make it a 4-1 ball game over the Americans. Kansas City, the team to beat in the American League West, most people seem to think. And Boston, that's been the big surprise of 1982 in the American League East. Dave Winfield comes to the plate now. Eddie Murray is scheduled to follow. And then the shortstop spot, Robin Yount. Fernando Valenzuela is out on the mound. He didn't take much time to warm up. But what a story this young fellow was last year. And Valenzuela gets him to foul it back. You're talking about late innings a moment ago, Howard. In the last 10 All-Star games, the National League has outscored the American League 61-30. And the American League, there's Ozzie Smith, the shortstop. The American League has scored in the final 3 innings of the last 10 games only 2 times.
That's the trend I talked about.
Sort hands it out to third base. Throw is in the dirt. But up comes Oliver for the out.
Eckersley, they voted you in for your power, a two-runner. Huh?
Well, I was really looking for something in. He throws some fastball up and in. I mean, a slider up and in. I was looking for, and I got a good, good contact with the ball, and I know when I hit it, the ball was out.
You gave a good trot. You were happy coming around the bases.
Of course, yeah. We get the lead 2-1, and I'm just proud to be here, and happy to hit a home run for the National League.
Back to you, Keith.
Thank you, Bobby.
Now, as you watch Valenzuela, Keith, you talked about that gutsy Friday night performance in the World Series last year. Give Lasorda credit for staying with him.
That's right.
Anybody else might well have taken him out. They were down 2-0 to the Yankees then in the World Series. The Yankees had been hitting Fernando all night, but he stayed with him, and finally it paid off. Turned the series around.
Eddie Murray checks, and it's fouled at the plate. Here's Tom Lasorda, Chuck Tanner, manager of the Pirates. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike to Eddie Murray. Robin Yount on deck. Valenzuela misses just inside. Fingers heating up in the American League pen, and he should be next. 3-1 pitch. 3-2.
You know, that's one thing about Valenzuela, too. You might think about the screwball, but he's got a much better than average fastball. And if you start looking for one, he can sneak that fastball by you just like he just did to Eddie Murray.
Yeah, as far as pitching ability, knowing how to pitch, he's 20 going on 40. 21 going on 40. But this time, he misses inside to Murray. And Murray gets a free pass to first base with 1 out. Yount comes to the plate. And again, we have action down in the National League bullpen. Steve Howe gets up, and so does Greg Minton. Valenzuela is in there with a strike to Robin Yount.
Lee McPhail, the American League president, must be going out of his mind.
Well, they're going to get tired of it. They're going to get their hackles up. But I don't know how. Maybe Lee ought to take the ploy of Warren Giles a few years ago and jump up on the locker box and do some more rating.
That's a very, very important point you just made. Giles changed the whole National League attitude. Remember, in the early going, the American League had been predominant in the All-Star game play. Giles took it serious.
Well, I remember a meeting he had that first game in 1959.
Yount hits a sharp shot down third. Good play by Knight. He goes to second to get the lead man. He went the short way. Might have been his only opportunity. Good play by the Astro third baseman.
It sure is, because when that ball comes off the carpet and can hit the dirt, it can also flatten out on you. He throws Eddie Murray out by 25 feet. I don't know what happened there.
At all. I don't know what Murray was doing.
He might have thought it was going foul. He might not have picked the ball up.
What did Giles tell you guys in '59?
Well, he just told us that, boys, he says, we're not here to lose. He says, we're here to win. And he said, you can have all the fun you want. But he says, when you go across the lines, let's win it.
Murray on the ground ball at third. He went back to first base, and by that time it was too late.
There's what a left-hander's move can do to a base runner.
That's true, but this team looks utterly lackluster, Don. I don't see any spark, any fire the whole night.
Well, good pitching will do it, Howard, and the National League has got excellent pitching tonight.
Hal McRae is up there, the DH and outfielder for Kansas City. Pinch hitting.
You know, you're looking at a right-hander Rogers, a left-hander Carlton, a right-hander with a good heater in Soto, a left-hander in Valenzuela. You're back and forth all the time. Tommy's got the pitching staff set up well. But on the
the other hand, the American League has had certainly decent pitching. They've out-hit him 8-6, but it's been that one pitch so far to Concepcion that's been the difference.
Well, don't throw out the Rupert Jones triple.
No, you can't do that, not at all.
That gave him the insurance run.
Incidentally, the Al Oliver triple that was originally called has been changed
to a double and an error. Right. Figured that.
The count is 3-1 now to Hal McRae. Walked in. So that's the second walk in the inning by Fernando Valenzuela. And he will pitch next to Lance Parrish as Tom Lasorda heads to the mound. He's got Howe and Minton out in the pit. And he's going to make a change. He's walking and looking, and looks to me like he has got the hook with him.
Well, he's got a man there that can tie it up in a hurry, because Lance Parrish right now is the tying run standing at home plate.
Fernando pitched 6 innings on Sunday, and he's going to make the change. He's going to the right-hander, Greg Minton. Greg Minton comes on now for the National League. He is the 5th pitcher. His numbers are reflected there, and he's a horse. He'll be working to Lance Parrish.
He's a horse, huh?
Yeah.
Horse and a half in my count.
It's a big man for Frank Robinson out in San Francisco. Sawed it off, but it's bounced over his head. Look at the play by Smith. Holy cow, look at that.
Look at that National League dugout, too. And anybody but Ozzie Smith, well, he's there. And anybody running but Parrish, that might be a base hit. He jams him, saws him off over the head of Minton. You saw he got the ball exactly where he wanted. Look at that play by Smith.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a big league play. We'll be back. Another look at the inning-ending play. Ozzie Smith is not even in your picture. And there he is. Bang. That's quick. Raleigh Fingers of the Milwaukee Brewers now comes on to pitch for the American League in the bottom of the 8th inning. He's pitching to Al Oliver. Dawson is scheduled next, and then Ray Knight. It's 2 strikes.
Going back to the very beginning, if this thing holds the way it is, Steve Rogers becomes the first starting pitcher to be the winner in his home ballpark since Vandermeer did it in '38.
Shot to right by Oliver. Takes his turn, and he's aboard at first with a single. Goose Gossage of the Yankees is now in the American League bullpen. Numbers on the year for the Goose. His comment on the plight of the Yankees at the moment: we're having a terrible struggle.
No kid.
Dawson.
No kid. He just threw a home run ball to Brian Downing.
He's been jerking a few this year.
He sure has. Not the same Gossage.
That's a strike for Fingers.
Downing's got a few. How'd you like to have a guy like that leading off for you?
That's quite a revealing figure.
Time for a moment. Ball loose out of the bullpen. Elrod Hendricks.
What a marvelous man he is around all these years. Tomorrow, by the way, the birthday of his 20-year-old daughter. Happy birthday to her.
Abigail. Dawson, hungry to do something in front of the home folks, is behind 2 strikes. Danielle Fingers, wife of Raleigh. Raleigh had a bit of a rocky time for a period this season, but he's come back. Lord of goodness, that Milwaukee crowd, the way they've been hitting home runs, 124 of them already.
Not a bad year for any of them, including Mr. Ogilvy,
who is still available.
right. And don't forget Ken Herbeck. He's still available.
That kid's remarkable.
And Toby Herrera, whose bat has been ringing throughout the American League.
He has been a redoubtable hitter this year.
Jams him a little tight to make it 1-2.
John McHale got here to that open workout you mentioned yesterday, and he said, I just want to watch this kid Herbeck hit. I said, how do you find a player like that? I said, he grows up 2 blocks from where you play.
That's right in their own backyard.
That's right.
Runner goes, throw by Parrish. He held on, he got it. He got it. Well, give that man right there half a chance and you're out. There's no question about that. Watch it again. He comes up, and he comes up firing. That throw, good pitch to handle, and a good, strong throw to Frank White, and they get him with ease. Sparky Anderson can talk for a week about it.
The way his club's been going, he's got little else to talk about.
That's right. That trophy still probably is going to go to who, guys? Concepcion?
Dave Concepcion. It's the Commissioner's Trophy. Goes annually to the MVP. The All-Star Game.
2-2 pitch. Up the middle. Frank White backhands it. Can't get it. Frank flagged at it. If he had picked it, he would not have had a play on Dawson. So Andre gets a base hit in the All-Star Game at home. And here's Ray Knight. That shows you what strength can do. He was jammed with that fastball. He just fought it off, and he just muscled it back through the middle. There is one man who has been etched so deeply in recent All-Star games who is not on the team this year. The man who was the winning pitcher for the National League in '78 and '79 and had saves for the National League in 1980-81. Bruce Sutter. But so far, his contemporaries are doing all right.
Maybe Parrish should be the MVP. He's kept it close.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. He's kept it in tow. This is one of, I guess, certainly the first time it's happened in this part of the country, and one of the few times where an umpire has a chance to work in his hometown as well. Jim McKean, native Montrealer, the American League, working at third base tonight. Fingers to the rubber, has a look at first base, where Dawson waits. Off the pitch tonight. Hit on the ground to Murray. Cued right to him off the end of the bat, makes the play. And Dawson moves up to second, and this telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Tony Pena.
Chuck Tanner, always an optimistic guy, is positively glowing these days. Hit his own helmet off.
I haven't seen that. I've seen him swing out. Look at
There's
Chuck Tanner.
Chuckaroo right there next to Tommy. Oh. What a batting order they've got. I was saying earlier, I didn't have a chance to finish. We were talking about Jason Thompson. The key to Jason is Parker back in the lineup, hitting behind him. They can't pitch around Thompson.
Very true. One strike pitch to Pena. Well, Tony's not getting cheated, is he? He won't. He won't get cheated at all. Well, I suspect we're going to see a succession of pinch hitters in the 9th inning. You got Herbeck, you got Herrera, you have Ogilvy. That's 3 pretty good ones right there. Pops him up on the right side. Murray coming down. Parrish going after it. Oh, look at that Parrish hustle.
What a play that was. I'll tell you, that Parrish has put on some show.
Well, this is as good a play as you'll ever see a catcher make, and he gets out of there in a hurry. He doesn't lollygag around, and he makes a fine play. First of the pinch hitters now for the American League as we go to the top of the 9th inning. The National leading 4-1. It is Ben Ogilvy swinging a bat there, standing just in front of John Stearns, who is now catching the New York Mets, and Lonnie Smith has gone out into left field, replacing Dusty Baker.
There's a sign here in the arena, Keith, that says "Le Smoked Meat," referring, I suppose, to the American League.
Ogilvy, one of the hammer throwers off the Milwaukee Brewers, stands in and looks at a strike from Greg Minton. That's just what I said before, how Tommy set up that pitching rotation. Rogers a right-hander, Carlton a left-hander, Soto right-hander, Valenzuela left-hander, Minton right-hander, and he's got a right and a left going in the bullpen. Ogilvy took it, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ben Ogilvy's another man who is not that big when you stand alongside of him, but he will hit a ball as far as any man alive.
It's all in his wrists, arms.
Lifted out to the left side for Lonnie Smith. 1 out. Bring up Ricky Henderson. Secretary of State designate George Shultz testifying today before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on the first day of his confirmation hearings. And Nightline tonight, immediately following your late local news, will focus on Shultz's views of American foreign policy interests.
The Secretary designate is a truly remarkable man who is not without experience in sports world. As Dean of the Chicago Graduate School of Business, he encouraged Willie Davis, the all-time Packer great defensive end, to stay in school and get his graduate degree. And it proved out for Willie Davis. He did just that. Under the Secretary designate's encouragement, he's become one of the most successful businessmen in America.
There he is. And a heck of a guy. Ricky Henderson stays in the ball game with 1 out, 2 balls and no strikes, and you've got Kent Herbeck standing in the on-deck circle. So the big youngster from Minnesota, Herbeck, is out swinging a bat.
And you've got Billy Martin in the dugout, who's grown accustomed to this pace.
What's Billy? Billy's 0-2, and Tommy Lasorda's 2-0. Billy down in the dugout. There's not much you can do if you don't get runs. 3 balls and 1 strike. And Henderson walks.
All right.
And so that brings up Kent Herbeck in his first Major League game. This youngster hit a home run in the 12th inning off George Frazier to beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium in 1981. Remember this shot? I'm sure many of you watching saw it. He got all of it and nailed it out of sight. What a big, good-looking kid he is. As Lasorda goes to the mound now to talk to Minton, and he's going to go to the left-hander, Steve Howe. Minnesota using his pitching staff. As the big left-handed swinging fella from Minnesota comes up, Howe comes in, and we'll be back. The Los Angeles bullpen has not had a great season. And despite those impressive numbers there for Steve Howe, he has not been as sharp as we have seen him in times past, though he has pulled himself together. And says now he feels good and has regained the Bulldog confidence that any successful relief pitcher's got to have. And so here is young Kent Hrbek of the Minnesota Twins. And look at that. Just a year ago was in Class A ball. High fly ball, short center field. Dawson coming in, calls off the second baseman Sachs and makes the catch. Base runner Henderson stays at first base. So Hrbek didn't give Henderson any time to dance around at first. What with the left-hander on the mound, he might not have been doing much dancing anyway. And you've got 2 out, just 1 more to go for the National League, and they will have won 19 of the last 20 and 11 in a row.
And Dave Concepcion is the MVP, as expected.
Here's Tom Hume now coming to the mound. Buddy Bell is, let's see. Well, while Hume is coming in, let us take this time out with a 4-1 lead for the Nationals. Well, let's see what Mr. Hume can do with Mr. Bell. 1 out away from nailing it down. Tom is high with his first pitch for ball 1. That's lifted to the right side. Right fielder Murphy toward the line. Game's over. The National League continues to dominate the All-Star game. Davey Concepcion, shortstop for the National League, Cincinnati Reds, is the most valuable player, the line scorer in the ball game. The National League winning it by a final score of 4-1. Rogers, the winning pitcher, the save to Hume. Eckersley lost it. Concepcion, the home run. Final score, National League 4, American League 1.